all about his interest in film. So, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. So my first question for you is, what is it that attracts you to filmmaking?
What attracts me to filmmaking is basically the diverse number of directors, basically, and how they were able to achieve their vision of the film. For example, James Cameron basically was fascinated with the Titanic, so basically that's what inspired him to make the Titanic film in general. And basically, then there's actors like Ryan Coogler, who are newcomers to the film industry, and they're suddenly making films for Marvel like Black Panther. And then there's George Lucas, who got turned down numerous times to make Star Wars from different production companies until they finally settled with 20th Century Fox, and basically the rest is history for him. And yeah, so basically I just like how they were able to achieve their vision basically.
Um, what do you think is the best scene in Titanic, as you mention it?
Well, the best scene is basically, as you know, the climatic sinking scene. Basically, unlike other Titanic films which were portrayed, he basically made it more realistic and what could have happened at that moment. Like the Titanic lifting up, splitting in half, that wasn't depicted in previous
Okay.
Titanic films. He was the first to do that,
Okay.
and he did, yeah, and
What
did
do you
that.
think of the scene where they're in the? I think it's sort of in a, sort of sort of it's, I forgot what it's called now. But she leaves the handprint on the window. Yeah, what do you think of that? Because I like that just that one little shot there. A lot.
Well, basically that adds to the romantic scene between them. Basically, that's a really good use of cinematography and how he was able to achieve that. And basically, the camera work is amazing. Basically,
So, is that your favourite James Cameron film?
that's my favourite James Cameron film to watch. But basically, I can only watch it like if I haven't watched it in a while. I'll watch it again.
I understand.
Yeah, because it's like a 3 hour film basically.
So, from that, so is he your favourite filmmaker?
Not really. No, I do pay attention to his works, but I have noticed many interviews in that he is a very difficult director to work with. Basically, he's a perfectionist. He basically does things how he wants it to happen. He doesn't like anyone like goofing up on the job. He doesn't like anyone
Yeah.
slacking on the job. He basically wants to get his filmmaking done, and he wants it to be perfect, basically. But he's not my favorite filmmaker per se because there's just so many directors that I focus on that I like to study about and how they achieve it. My favorite filmmaker that I would say is Tim Burton. Basically, he makes films from an Asperger production because he's got Asperger's, it's rumored that he has, because he basically makes productions based on what he has obsessions with and what he likes. He's mostly interested in for example, as a child he was interested in Roald Dahl, so basically that inspired him to make Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the film in 2005. That's one of my favourite films of his. And then there's Edward Scissorhands, which basically focuses him on with social anxiety, basically on how he basically made Johnny Depp's character basically with social anxiety and how he was basically shy on screen. And also there was a scene where basically how he struggled to perform friendships, things like that. So yeah, that's my favourite film director, basically a filmmaker.
So, do you like the original Charlie Chocolate Factory or?
Well, I like both. I don't really. I like the original, as in the fact that Gene Wilder was in the film, so basically his performance as that character is considered iconic, whereas Johnny Depp's portrayal is considered polarizing because he's known for his roles in Captain Jack Sparrow and things like that. So they don't really see him as the person to play Willy Wonka, basically. But I like the 1970s film because it was the ideas made at the time was good because they filmed it in Germany.
Yeah.
Basically, the film and basically Germany wasn't a most well visited place back in the 70s, basically, whereas today it is.
Rise of the Berlin Wall.
So basically, they filmed it in Germany, basically, because it was anonymous to most people at the time, and that's how it was. He also liked how anonymous it looked because in the setting where Charlie lived, basically, was unknown to most people. So that's why.
Post-war Germany.
Yes. So basically, he filmed it. He filmed it in Munich, I think it was. And basically, he filmed it went to locations like the Munich Gasworks. Actually, most of that and the buildings in the original factory is torn down basically because they were demolishing it before they were allowed to use it basically. So that's the reason why they were allowed to use it, because they were going to be demolishing it and renovating it basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
so I don't really pick which one. I just like both of them basically.
that's good. Is that your favourite Gene Wilder performance? Or
Yeah, that's my favourite Gene Wilder performance. That's the performance I clearly associate with like it. Basically, his performance has been referenced in the Marvel film Thor Ragnarok. Basically, if you know in the scene where it plays that Willy Wonka theme, basically that was filmed in 2016, and that was the death of Gene Wilder in 2016. Basically, I think they added that was to basically tribute him. Basically, because the film director of Thor Ragnarok was a comedian as well.
Okay.
And
Gene
Wilder,
Waititi.
Gene Wilder is also a comedian. So basically, he wanted to add that music sequence to pay tribute to him. Basically.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So, is there not a particular subject of filmmaking or type, but is there something you like about filmmaking and how it can convey emotions and things like that, different to any other art form? Because sort of painting is very different to film, because film moves and can be of a certain time, but painting still. So I was wondering, is there anything about film as an art form that attracts you that's different to others? It might be a difficult question.
So is that like the sort of cinematography and all
Yeah.
that stuff? Well, there's if speaking of cinematography, there's actually one scene I like. It's basically is how they it's cinematography been going on for years, but the cinematography has become much safer now, and the stunt work has become much safer. And basically, so the Titanic scene where basically lots of crew members got injured as the thing was lit, or it was like a rig that lifted up, that they still got injured on the set. And then there was basically in one film, which was called The Twilight Zone, the movie. Basically, one actor was decapitated, and two child stars were crushed by a helicopter. That was like another cinematography scene that went wrong. Basically, but my favourite cinematography scene has to be the scene where they filmed Tom Cruise on the Burj Khalifa when he's climbing the Burj. That's one of my favourite scenes to look at. One of my favourite scenes of all time is basically The Dark Knight. Basically, when they're doing the truck chase sequence and how they lifted the truck, basically on its back. And I like how they were able to basically they had to film that scene in one shot, basically. And then basically Heath Ledger coming out dressed as a Joker and shoot the scene. They had to do it because since it was filmed on a Chicago street, basically in the middle of the night, and since it was a deserted street, and that made it happen. But I also take note. Basically, there was a film. I don't know what its name, but I know the director is Danny Boyle, and basically he directed not Trainspotting. He made a film called. I can't remember it.
There's a film Yesterday, which is about the Beatles disappearing. Then he did a film called Shallow Grave, which is his very first one. Sunrise, is science fiction. Slumdog Millionaire.
It's the one where there's no. It's the empty London scene.
Oh, 28 Days Later. It's a zombie film.
Yeah, 28 Days Later. Yeah, basically that's something I take note of, because he was able to basically get the police to close the roads off, and it was filmed early in the morning, because it was like very early in the morning. So basically, you got the police to close all the roads so no one would bother them, basically.
Must be a lot of hassle.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for this discussion. I hope that we dove deep into who you like, what you like, and what drives you. So thank you.
Thanks.
I don't mind.